Hello, I'm Joe, aka Mr. Fragrance, and there have been a lot of new releases this week. Hello and welcome back. So yeah, I've just come off a hill from a long walk up a mountain, so I'm just relieved and I'm just a little bit tired. So if I seem to be a little bit tired when I'm reading things out or when I'm talking about things, just please excuse me. But there's been a lot of releases this week. There are a crazy amount of releases we need to get through, some of which I'm going to have to miss out. I've not done a release for last week. I've not done a video for last week's releases, so I'm sorry that we've missed some brilliant fragrance releases from last week. But what can we do? I was just so busy. So this week has also been incredible. So we're going to kick it off with an incredible release from Tom Ford, and this is Eau De Vert Bohème Tom Ford. So this is, well, it's I guess it's going to be a green fragrance. It comes in a green bottle, and it's marketed really towards women actually. It's a floral green and it's got top notes of bergamot, Sicilian mandarin and violet leaves, middle notes of honeysuckle, magnolia and sea notes, and base notes is just woody notes. So there's already some really nice pictures coming up of this, but it looks, yeah, it's an awesome bottle. I believe it's part of the private line. Actually, there's nothing to say whether or not it is. Apologies, I can't actually tell you whether or not this is part of the private line. It's very, very new. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. Another one that's similar, another Tom Ford fragrance, is the Eau De Jasmin Rouge, which is also in a very similar bottle, just a different colour. And that's got top note. Again, it's a floral fragrance marketed towards women, and it's got top notes of bergamot and citruses, mid notes of jasmine and watery notes. Again, a little bit like the previous one. It's got some vague notes in there, like sea notes, I think they said last time, and base notes of cardamom. So again, quite basic, but it's marketed towards women. I'd be interested to smell it, see how florally the florals are, because that note breakdown sounds like something I would happily try. In fact, that's quite appealing to me, that breakdown of bergamot and citruses at the top and jasmine and watery notes in the mid and cardamom to give it a bit of spice in the base. That appeals to me. So maybe I'll need to check that one out, maybe sample it, see what I think, because I like the sound of that one. Next up is a big designer release. This is a big release for this week, and this is the Most Wanted by Azzaro. Everyone loves Wanted and Wanted by Night especially, so the Most Wanted, is this going to be a good release? Is it what are people thinking? Well, this really took me by surprise. I really loved the note breakdown on this one. Just 3 simple notes. Top notes of cardamom, mid notes of toffee, and base notes of amberwood. It sounds good. It sounds good. Toffee, could that give it a really rich sweetness in the mids, but then top notes of what? Cardamom, some spiciness. Top notes of cardamom, that's very rare to see that. Base notes of amberwood. It's a dark fragrance. It's certainly not for the time of year that it's come out at. This, I mean, with the price of Azzaro these days, can you justify not buying this? If you like the rest of the line, can you justify not buying this with that note breakdown? Unless you hugely dislike one of those notes, I don't think so. So that sounds absolutely amazing. And another Azzaro release is Wanted Girl by Night, and this has rum and cream in the top, Queen of the Night in the heart. Let's just pretend I know what that is, and patchouli in the base. That's a woman's release. I don't have much to say about that other than that it's been marketed by L'Oreal. Unlucky. Another female release. I'm sorry to those of you that are guys out there. There's loads of guy fragrances to come. But you know, I really went. In fact, I think the last video on releases, I didn't even have a single woman's fragrance in there. There were a couple of unisex, but no women's. So this one is Angel Iced Star, and this is from Mugler. And this has notes of coconut water, pineapple, praline, and patchouli. Sounds good. I can imagine that's just going to be a really sweet fragrance. I mean, from the name of it as well, Iced Star, it sounds like it's going to be like a frosting smell, like a cupcake smell, really sweet. possibly a little bit like Lucky from Paco Rabanne. Couldn't quite tell you, but love the bottle. Really nice design. It's just that classic angel bottle. Yeah, I like it. Next up, there's been 2 Davidoff releases, one of which is Cool Water Parfum for men, and one is Cool Water Parfum for her. You know, they're just, I imagine they're very, very similar. I'm gonna do the Cool Water for him first. In the top notes, we've got Madagascan pepper, Madagascan pink pepper actually, and Primo Flor melon. I've read that wrong. Primo Flor lemon, and in the heart notes we've got Heatland vetiver, and in the base notes there's sandalwood. That sounds nice. I don't quite know what to say about Davidoff Cool Water stuff anymore. I can't believe they're still releasing things about Cool Water. You know, maybe are they trying to prolong something that's dated? I'm not a big fan of Davidoff Cool Water, so I'm probably not the best person to comment on that. The Cool Water for her has rose in the top, Heatland vetiver in the mid, just like the men's one, and in the base is tonka bean. So, what differences are there? I couldn't quite tell you. I imagine, okay, maybe the hers gonna be a little bit sweeter from the look of it. Next is a release I'm quite excited about. I really like Mercedes-Benz fragrances. I think I've done one video on Mercedes-Benz fragrances. Anyway, I love their line, and they've got another one out, and this is Mercedes-Benz Man Bright. So what does that mean? Well, it's an awesome bottle. It's going to be added into the line of Man fragrances by them that they have in those really cool, almost like key like bottles. Top notes of bergamot, pink pepper CO2. I've seen that a couple of times. Who knows what that means? And mint. Heart notes of lavender and frankincense CO2. And base notes of patchouli, Virginia cedar, tonka bean, and white musk. So, awesome looking bottle. I like that that's probably going to be quite a woody, aromatic fragrance in the dry down, but in the top it's also going to be quite a zingy, spicy. The mint in there is really adding a little bit of interesting pizzazz again I think. And then lavender and frankincense, to me it's a little bit of a mixed up fragrance in the breakdown, but it doesn't look like your generic designer fragrance. Next up, there's Light Blue Pour On Forever by Dolce & Gabbana, with top notes of grapefruit zest, Italian bergamot, and heart notes of violet leaf and ozonic notes, base notes of patchouli, white musk, and Java vetiver. This again is just going to be another quite simplistic blue fragrance, I think. I like the addition of the white musk in the base, but again, that's adding to these blue fragrances to give it again a bit of depth, a little bit of lasting power, I think, as well. Who knows? Dolce & Gabbana are renowned for these brilliant blue fragrances. A lot of people really, really like this line, so it's another addition. I hope you're happy with it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now we're getting into some niche releases, and the niche, well, I guess we've already had a couple, especially from the Tom Ford. I class those as being quite niche. Now we've got Amouage, and they have released 2 new fragrances this week. The first of which is Material, and that's in a kind of brownish orangey bottle, in their square bottle, and it's marketed towards men and women. It's got top notes of Alini resin and patchouli. It's got heart notes of bourbon, vanilla absolute, and benzoin. It's got base notes of galacwood, oud, osmanthus absolute, frankincense resin, labdanum absolute, and tonka bean absolute. Again, you're starting to see the more complex breakdowns when you start to move into niche fragrances, because they use more naturals, at least I believe. You know, I can't comment on Amouage with huge confidence as I don't know enough about the company for sure, but I know that they're a niche company that use naturals far more often than you would expect to find in more designer fragrances. So this is clearly going to be quite a dark fragrance. You've got bourbon, vanilla absolute, benzoin, guaiac oud, frankincense, tonka bean absolute. You know, the frankincense and the oud is going to be, you know, a lot of incense. That's going to smell quite heavy on the incense, and in fact, Amouage, they do not refrain from using incense, frankincense, oud. These basically feature in every single one of their fragrances. That's just how they roll. That's just how they perform things. They just love that addition of the depth and the smokiness that you can sometimes get from these incenses. So I appreciate that that's what they're doing. This fragrance to me doesn't particularly appeal, the idea of it, but who knows, it may do. I maybe need to sample it, who knows. The next release from Amouage though is called Boundless, and it's in their traditional rectangular bottle with the cap with the gem on it. And this has top notes of blood orange, cardamom, ginger CO2, elemi resins, heart notes of bourbon vanilla absolute, bourbon vanilla CO2 and benzoin, and base notes of papyrus, cocoa absolute, tobacco absolute, oak moss absolute, frankincense absolute, frankincense in general, myrrh, vetiver, and patchouli. It's a heavy fragrance. There's so much in that, far too much for me to, comment confidently on how it's going to smell. But I like the sound of it at least a little more than the previous one, which is Material. Yeah, I like the sound of the top notes, the blood orange, the cardamom, the vanilla, the ginger, the elemi resin again is featuring in the top notes. And of course the oud in the base as well, and frankincense. Guyot wood is just oud anyway, so basically what the oud is in there, as well as the frankincense, the incense. So yeah, that's a very intense fragrance. Again, going to be quite deep. I don't quite know what the CO2 means again, but the ginger, the bourbon vanilla, both ginger CO2, bourbon vanilla CO2, but anyway, they're going to be spicy. It's going to be a slightly boozy fragrance. It's going to be, I think, in general, I think this is going to be a really heavy fragrance, and it's probably not going to be one for the light-hearted. That's Amouage in a nutshell though, so let me know what you think of that. Again, I can't tell anyone for sure what these are going to smell like. This is just a note breakdown. I'm just basically relaying to you that this fragrance has been released. Look into it if you're interested. Next up is by Lacoste is Roland Garros Blanche. Now, if you know anything about Roland Garros, or tennis, sorry, you will know that Roland Garros is the French Open and they play on clay. So I believe that is what this fragrance is kind of based around, with top notes of finger lime and grapefruit, heart notes of clary sage and eucalyptus, and base notes of cedar, vetiver and red clay. Hopefully it incorporates that the metallic smell from the red clay and manages to blend that in really nicely with the vetiver and cedar in the base notes, and then the kind of lighter and more citrusy opening of the finger lime and grapefruit. So I would love to be able to smell this. Hopefully this is a fragrance I will get, because I love my tennis, I love playing tennis. Unfortunately, it's been a long time, and that is because of COVID. COVID has completely messed that up. But yeah, looks and sounds like a really great fragrance. And finally, we have Viking Cologne from Creed. This is a fragrance that I imagine so many people will be hyped to have heard about. Maybe not though, if you already own Creed Viking. Maybe, I don't actually know what the difference is. Please let me know in the comments if you do know, but I'll still read out the notes. This is top notes of lemon, bergamot, mandarin orange and pink pepper, and mid notes of lavender, geranium, nutmeg and rosemary, as well as sage, sorry. Base notes of sandalwood, frankincense, patchouli, cedarwood and vetiver. I just love the sound of this fragrance. I absolutely love the sound of this fragrance. I'm sorry if I'm closing my eyes, by the way. I've got a really bright light in front of me and it's really not the right position. I may have just ruined the lighting. Anyway, apologies for that. Really light citruses in the top. I love the sound of that. The pink pepper is probably going to add a spiciness to it, which leads me to believe that this lemon, this bergamot, this mandarin orange aren't going to be used in a really sweet way. They're going to be used in a slightly punchier, probably zestier way, because the pink pepper is adding a bit of spiciness, which is probably going to go really nicely with a more zesty and a more rindy lemon. So that's kind of where my brain's taking me. It's not going to be a mass appealing sweet fragrance. Of course it's not. Anyway, it's Creed. But in the heart notes as well, I get the same kind of thing when you've got the sage, the rosemary. That's meaning that this lavender isn't going to be used in the fluffy, floral way that it can be used. It's probably going to be used in a greener, more herbaceous way, which again is quite exciting. And in the base notes, you can kind of incorporate that with this sandalwood, this cedarwood, this vetiver, this frankincense. That's the only thing I think feels slightly out of place here. I just hope it's not a strong frankincense, because to me, frankincense is great in the right place. But the fragrance, it's got these really, really lovely citruses, this herbaceous green mid. I just feel like it would be really out of place in the base, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows? This is Creed. They know what they're doing. So yeah, I'd be really interested to try this. I'm definitely gonna sample this fragrance. So thank you so much for watching, especially if you've made it this far. I really appreciate your support and for watching the channel. I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching. Yeah, please like, subscribe, comment on the video. Tell me what you think of the releases this week. If you own any, if you're gonna get any, yeah. Let me know in the comments down below. So I will see you next time on Mr. Fragrance. Bye for now.